What is up, YouTube? So, I had a couple guys over the weekend ask me about my gun, taking a check at it, whatnot. So I thought I would maybe just do an update, little review. It's been a while since I've done a gun update on things I've ran in the past and what I'm doing with this current one. Nonetheless, if y'all know me, I run more of the sports build, so the ESG build is probably my favorite when it comes to competitive tournaments. I think this is the best design when it comes to running on the field, and there's lots of reasons for that. So if you notice right off the go, it's probably the tank and the grip. So if you haven't seen this before, this is the aluminum Monk Custom ESG grip. It may not look aluminum right in here. That's just because I have a tape on it, and that tape is mostly for the only flaw that I've found with this grip so far. And the only flaw is when you get hot, when you get sweaty, it tends to want to kind of turn in your hand because it is aluminum, so it gets a little bit slicker. So this tape actually allows me to grip the grip even more. So when my hands are sweaty, you know, I'm in the action, so on and so forth, that does a number. But this specifically, and I may not always be running it this way. If I'm not running it this way, I'm actually running a different tank, and I will show you that tank in a second. But this is the 13 CI by HK Armory. This one's not active. I actually have the regulator out of this one because it's in my grip. Don't ask. It's probably my favorite setup when it comes to it. Now, you're not going to get tons of air. I actually have a video. Maybe at the end you can go watch this one, whichever corner it is. Go watch this at the end and see how many I got out of it. But it is a different engine. So there's lots of scenarios. That's probably one of my most asked questions is, you know, how long does that tank last? That's a lot of variables in your situation of your setup that's going to make a difference. So whatever I tell you, it could become a bold-faced lie when it boils into it. But it is a 13 CI 3000 tank. It does fairly well, so especially if you're just trying to get through a real quick game or anything like that, or need a backup real quick. But I personally like it because of the feel for it. So I don't directly take when I'm playing, I don't take the tank and push it into my shoulder. I like to actually sit it on my shoulder so that when I'm shooting, I'm looking down the rail, straight down it, and just sitting there watching BBs. No, I don't look at sights or anything like that. I just specifically watch BBs. So that's the biggest reason. That, and it's super light, man. I mean, if you've ever held my gun or held one like this, it is super light. Even with the aluminum grip, it's still super light. Even when I didn't have the aluminum, I had the Gen 2 by Monk Custom grip. So super cool. And this is the Wolverine Storm Regulator. Really good one. I don't particularly like the Polar Star. I've seen some you know, mishaps with them, so nonetheless. But if you notice this cord, if you know anything about these cords right here, this is a Polar Star Kythera inside of this. Now, I know you're like, all right, well, Steve, that's a tournament gun. You know, the Kythera is not the fastest as when it comes to like a Jack or an F2 or anything like that. Fusion, you know, be able to speed up that trigger so much. I don't need to be super fast with the shots. I just don't. I feel it's adequate enough, and you're able to tune your Kythera pretty well when you actually go in there and you know, change everything up to get a quicker, you know, trigger. You know, it's mechanical trigger, so you know, every time you pull this, you actually get that real click. Super good feeling, opposed to, you know, electrical, you know, FCUs, where you actually just get a, you know, a bump button that's not, or a plunger I should say, and it's just not as satisfying as a feel. And these really have a satisfying feel every time you click, you get that pull. Super nice. Probably the other most distinct thing about this one is you might have seen a video that I had about the Gen 3 carbon uppers. Well, that's what this is. Yes, I removed the sights. Again, stepping back a few seconds, is I don't particularly run sights. I don't look down them. They're more just aggravating to me than anything. I'd rather just watch the BBs. So I have it set up on here. This is the 128 carbon. I love it. I got a few stickers on here. So, you know, America, I got Team. Shout out to Cubysoft. Shout out to 916 Customs. Just for a little bit of personality there. A couple Supreme bands on here. Now I do this for a specific reason. Kind of what I was talking about a minute ago with the grip, with this tape on here to help with the slickness. If you notice, right around here, around this mag well, actually you see some tape. That's actually layered up pretty good. And that I tend to, you know, I see some guys holding the magazine when they're shooting. That's a big pet peeve for me for some reason. I don't know why, but I really like holding the mag well. And usually under pressure in a tournament or anything like that, or even playing in a game, open play, it's, you know, it's a lot of pressure. And I tended to squeeze the mag well probably just a little bit too much, where it put indentions on my palm. So this actually helps a lot. Plus with grip, I want to be able to control the gun in every aspect of what I'm doing. Whether I'm shooting left or I'm shooting right, I want to be able to hold that gun. So that tape around the mag well, you know, so I think it's a pretty good idea myself. That teamed up with this Supreme band, you know, just kind of complements it too, with the purple mag release and the tip for the tracer. Just really does a number. So on the Gen 3 carbon, you see the tracer right here. Now, this is actually carbon fiber tape wrapped, so it kind of gives that same blend with the rail. And this is the SpeedQB tips for the Brighter C. That's what this is, a Brighter C tracer. Super dope one. I really like that tracer. It turns on and off. Well, it turns on motion activated, so whether you just kind of bump it, or it's already on right now, or you know, kind of shoot through it a couple times, it usually kick it off and engage and turn on. And I think they're phenomenal tracers. Plus, it's flush with that rail. You know, like an R or a blaster or Bifrost or anything like that. You know, it's kind of got a bigger diameter. But I found that the C and the UBT 106 by G&G both have a really good diameter when it comes to flushing up with the Gen 3 carbon upper. Naturally, I do have a speed trigger in there. I have it tuned according to with my engine. I don't have it super tuned. What I've noticed with Kytheras is if you have it just way too tuned, you get to shooting too fast, it will not reset and disconnect. So you end up having a jamming issue or anything like that, you know, hence, you know, the cord. I think this is a retro. I could be wrong. I don't remember. I've had it for a while. Mag release, pretty dope. It's got the purple top to it. I really like it. It's got that side and, you know, kind of a gray on the other side. Nothing fancy about that. And I'm running the Max Hopup Pro and when it comes to this, because I've ran a retro in my last one, in my Gen 1. It worked phenomenally, but the Max I've found to be super consistent in this. And on the back, I do have an AirTac cap, or AirTac Customs cap right here. So it's kind of hard to see, but this cord. So with this distinct little pigtail I got going on here, I have to say, been playing with this, played my first tournament with this one over the weekend. The cord did not bother me, not even the slightest. I didn't notice it was there. There was probably times that I would switch hands and grab it, even, and it still had enough flex I didn't even notice if I grabbed it, generally the whole time. It didn't bother me, not one bit. So, you know, take what you want with Kytheras. I mean, I've heard some people really hate them. A lot of people tell me they really liked them. This was my first tournament with one. That was the signifying thing to me. You know, not necessarily outdoor, but indoor with a lot of pressure like that. How would it perform? And it worked phenomenally. I have no reason to pull it out. I've talked about putting F2 back in here, but I may just leave this one for the moment. I don't have an FCU. I don't have to deal with batteries, nothing like that. I can just plug it in and go. So it's a phenomenal plug and play engine. A teammate of mine has a red line in his. It's really cool. I have a red line in a different setup gun, but I think I'm gonna definitely keep the Kythera in here. So the last note about my gun is, you notice it's not really pretty. So I don't have a lower that's cut out, like a Monk Custom lower, or Skull Performance, or anything like that. Lower metal. It's not just really pretty and slick and stuff like that. Me, I don't like that. I don't like a gun that's just really pretty. I mean, they can look cool, but they usually look cool in other guys' hands. I don't build these guns to impress people. I build this specific type gun for performance. I want it to perform phenomenally. I need it to do what it's going to do, where I can trust the gun, because when you line up on a wall, I mean, it's you and your gun. You know, this is my rifle, this is my gun, this is for fighting, this is for, yeah, that kind of gun. That's the type of idea I need. So I don't need it nice and pretty. Yes, there's some super really cool looking ones that guys use on the field that work phenomenal, and you know, the same scenario, they need it to work and it works for them. But I always like the more rough, rugged kind of look, something that's been used, something that's had some miles on it, kind of look. So I mimic that when it comes to my gun as well. It has a few little dings and scratches here, you know, things with the tape, and the tape's even got its kind of little loose ends of string coming out, things like that. And I just prefer it more. You know, on the side over here, I actually have, you know, these cutouts right here. It's actually for 13, and I started doing it for tournament things, and then just 13 I just stopped it at. I had it on my old gun, was at 13, so I went ahead and put it on this one. This is not my one I ran last year. I ran a different, same look, different setup. But yeah, but man, I'm telling you, man, I mean, I know a lot of guys jump with these. You know, 2 years ago, I didn't see pretty much any of these really running on the field much, and now when you go to tournaments, it's like it's taken over. You know, the ESG grip, Monk Customs, or there's Skull Performance. There's a few different guys that make this kind of design of the sports grip. Each have, you know, to each their own on that one. I prefer the Monk Custom one right now, so it's what I'm running. But I see this, and shout out to AirTac Customs, man, because I see his carbon uppers everywhere. Almost every guy is running them, and he's got the new ones now that run for AEG as well. Phenomenal looking, and they're just built really tough. These Gen 3s and the Speed QB ones, even the Gen 1's pretty dope, but man, he really stepped up his game when it comes to these Gen 3s. If you want to check out the video that I have, you can watch it after this one. My review on it, what I thought. Just phenomenal, man. But yeah, if you're thinking about getting one of these, you should. You really should. Start building this up. Especially when you play, if you want to play competitively in tournaments or anything like that, man, it's just a really good gun to be able to depend on. And before I get to that, this is my preferred setup, okay? When I was talking about the tank, this is my preferred, okay? But to have air to back up is I got the new 36 CI. So this is actually smaller than the 48. So it's the HK 36 CI 4500, and this little tank is awesome. I ran a 48. I cannot run a 68. I know some guys that do run 68s on the back of this, and usually they're taller guys with long arms. Me, not so much. So but this 36 is a really dope kind of setup. It doesn't make it super heavy. It's about the same length of the 48, but it doesn't have the same width as that 48. So still super cool, feels good, and it's a 4800 or 4500, you know, CI. Excuse me, 36 CI 4800 PSI. Let me just talk nerd for a second on that one. Tank, man, it is really nice, man. I can see a lot of people stepping up to this one in the airsoft world. But man, yeah, it's a pretty good little setup, man. Tell me what you think. Do you think my gun's crap? What do you think about them? Do you have one of these, or do you plan on building one of these? Let me know what you think. But until then, I'll catch y'all in some other kind of video. What it's gonna be, I don't know yet, but you'll see it. All right, y'all, like this dang video.